The ayahs said, never sleep with a dark feeling in our heart, because there is a dark thing that feeds on those feelings. You can't see it, but it lives inside. Which was written and directed by Vishal Dutta, who did shorts as well as television. Check out their IMDb page for the full list and other work. And also written by Ashish Mehta, who did a film called Hush Hush. I really, really hope I got close to pronouncing those names correctly. And this has Megan Suri as Sam, an Indian-American teenager that is trying to basically fit in along with her family after moving to America. And there's some backstory that comes up a little bit later on. And she had a friend, Tamira, who was played by Mohana Krishan, and I'm sorry, again, I'm really, really trying hard to get these names correct. They were friends, and unfortunately then Tamira ended up having something happen to her, and she is not doing all that well. She's wandering around, holding a jar, acting really, really weird, acting very strange. One particular student remarks, this is in the trailer, my stomach drops every time she just sneaks up like that. And also, basically, Sam, who once again is basically the root of all this because she made the pants too long. That's right, had to get that reference in. Sam is struggling with wanting to fit in America and also honoring her Indian heritage. This is India, by the way, not Native American, but India. And her mother, played by Nuru Bahwa, who, God damn, she is gorgeous. I need to see more movies that she's in. She fucking captivating and great as far as being an Indian mother who really wants her daughter to respect her heritage, but also wants to let her grow and be, her own person. She has told stories to Sam in the past. And also, there is a father that works nights. That's a little bit convenient as far as a horror movie goes. And it turns out that basically this particular jar, this little visual thing right here, contains something called the Pishach, which is a soul-devouring demon. And let's just say if you don't contain that goddamn thing, then you are totally goddamn fucked, because it will come after you, it will come after you, it will continue to come after you until it basically just ends up eating you. But it eats you slowly. It tenderizes a soul, as the mother says, isolating you from those that love you, from those that you love, and if anybody tries to help you, it will hurt them. And it happens slowly, and when it's ready, it eats your soul. So yeah, it lives inside us from Neon Studios, and Neon Studios is my second favorite studio going. It's Neon Studios and A24, or rather, A24 and Neon Studios, because pretty much after that, everything else drops off. Neon Studios is willing to take risks, just like A24. And I've enjoyed a lot of Neon Studio offerings, not every single one, but they go with way out there projects, and I was really excited when I saw this trailer a number of months ago. I'm like, okay, a new spin on demonic horror, because honestly, as the movie goes on, it does follow some of the same beats as far as, demonic possession, the isolating, from those that love you. That's, 101 as far as, like how demonic horror works. Has to isolate, has to make you seem insane until it can take you. And as far as, following cliches, it puts at least enough of a spin on them where even with some of the stuff that you've seen before, it has a lot of great atmosphere. Vishal Dutta does a great job with the direction. The music, the synth fucking score is haunting. It is in my head still. It was great. I mean, from the very beginning, all the way through, some great shots, some great camera work, some twists around and stuff like that. It really, really works as far as saying an incredible atmosphere. And from the beginning, with an opening scene that shows the Pishach and just a little bit of what it can do. And then we get a little more story about Tamira and Sam. And Sam basically just wants to... She doesn't quite get her culture. She understands it's important to her mother, but also she wants to live her life. And then a certain thing happens basically where the Pishach comes after her, and now she realizes that these stories that her mother told her and that the elders told them were very, very real. And she's got to find a way to basically to stop this thing from devouring everybody that she loves, especially somebody very close to her. So I do have a few issues as far as like, as far as the movie overall. The pacing is great, actually. The acting is really, really good. The music is great. The cinematography, very well shot. And the characters have just enough to them where you care about them. But there are some beats that, some well-worn paths that it follows. There's a 7-day thing. Gee, I wonder where I've heard that before. Ooh, oh, look at me with my fancy 3D little cover and everything. Ooh. Yes, The Ring. The Ring, by the way. The Ring, just in case you can't see that. No, I do not have the Japanese version. I'll get it on Blu-ray eventually. And the 7 days thing, and all that's been done before. I mean, it's been done before The Ring. It's been done since. And sure, that is what it is. But as far as I guess, since I don't know that much about Indian culture, I went in completely goddamn blind. I would imagine this probably has more impact as far as people that grew up in that particular culture. But as far as an atmospheric, tremendously effective, demonic horror movie, this is one of the best that I've seen. Also, the fact that it's PG-13, which, by the way, this is also PG-13. The Ring was PG-13. And this one was actually pretty goddamn effective. Also, Naomi Watts, fucking goddamn hell. But The Boogeyman came out a little bit earlier this year, and The Boogeyman was not a good PG-13 movie. It Lives Inside is very, very good, despite any of its flaws. One thing that was a little glaring as could be due to the production, the small budget. Some of the special effects weren't that great. Now, the makeup effects and the effects of what the Pishach looks like, those were very good. There was a lot of effort put there, but there were some moments where some of the special effects were I'm like, ooh. But for a PG-13 horror movie, had a lot of pretty good gore and some great suspense. I mean, the great shots down hallways. And Megan Suri did a great job here. She really did. Being conflicted and finally realizing, oh shit, this stuff that my mom told me, it's real. And again, Naru Bajo, Jesus, God, she's a captivating goddess. Good Lord. And the other, Tamara was good. The other characters are kind of normal. There's a bit of a love interest. He's fine. He's fine. Russ there. La 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 la. She's in love with lonely Russie. I'm sorry if anybody actually gets that reference. I love you guys. The dad isn't really given all that much to do, but he's fine. So yes, despite cliches, this is really, really effective. It Lives Inside ends up being one of my favorite horror movies of the year, possibly one of my favorite films of the year, despite any of the issues I have. Yeah, there are a couple moments where some of the characters are doing things monumentally stupid, and you're thinking, okay, why would you do that? There's one glaring one where there's a particular location that they're at, and I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you literally go anywhere else to accomplish anything that you were trying to accomplish? I didn't quite understand. But then again, if horror movie characters did everything smart, then we wouldn't have very long horror movies. All the Jason movies would be 10 goddamn minutes because they just leave and let Jason, I don't know, whack himself with his machete. That could have been worded better. But pretty good acting, good character development, great atmosphere, great music. That synth score, I may have to get the soundtrack if it's available. I mean, that was really, really good stuff. Very haunting, very effective, and really does show that friendship is important, family is important, and sometimes you don't know what you're capable of until you have to take on a lot of responsibility for something that you maybe aren't prepared for. Again, casting was great, good stuff. I am going to get into spoilers just so you know, and that's where I want to dive into a few particular scenes, but it's in theaters right now. Neon Studios doing great work as always. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Now, the beginning of the movie, and in the beginning there was a rap, as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre once said. There is something where there's screams, there's dead bodies in the hallway, dead bodies everywhere, as Korn once said. I was in high school when Korn was popular. That's saying something because I've got the life. Nevertheless, if anybody gets that Korn reference, I love you guys. I did not feel like a freak on a leash, though. Okay, I'm done with the shoehorned references. Nevertheless, what ends up happening is this guy is like, just something. There's like body that has like these burn marks and all this stuff, and what the hell's going on? Also, there's this jar just laying on the floor. It's jar, just like, it's like this. It's like this. By the way, these are socks in this jar. By the way, just in case you're wondering, because I didn't want to color a jar, because then it would be really hard to figure out what the fuck is in there. They're clean socks, by the way, no dirty socks. I do my laundry like a good American boy that's 42 years old and doing movie reviews and talking about horror movies. Let's get back to this horror movie. What basically develops is Sam, in addition to making the pants too long, is really not fitting in with her culture. Her mother wants her to help her with a particular ceremony. Puja, I believe is what it's called. Puja. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. And she can't because she's hanging out with her friends, and she kind of blows off her mother. And her mother just wants her to help and do this stuff and everything. And then there's this particular ceremony a little bit later. Tamara ends up showing up with the jar a little bit later and says, please believe me, this kind of stuff, all this. I found this jar. I don't know how or why she would have found that jar at that particular location, but she ends up finding it. And it's a captured spirit. It lives inside. She had blood dripping out of her backpack a little bit earlier on, and it turned out there was some meat, and you have to feed it meat. You have to throw it in the jar and slam the thing shut and feed it. Because why not? Don't think you get meat stains out of your backpack very well, Tamara, but nevertheless. So basically Sam blows her off. Sam ends up basically, even though they were friends, calls her a psycho. Slams the jar down. The jar releases the demon. Good job, Sam. Good job. Good job, Sam. Releasing demons and making the pants too long. Good goddamn Christ. She ends up realizing that, holy crap, Tamara was actually right. Her mom was right. Tamara ends up, freaking out and gets pulled away and gets pulled to a particular area. It turns out to be the basement of this particular house where this incident happened, where the demon was captured before. And the demon tenderizes and rips her apart in a covered bathtub for some reason. I've never actually quite understood that. And it turns out this demon was brought over by another family, and the boy died last year. And he was burned, but there was no body because basically he was able to capture a demon, but he suffered horrible losses because he took on the Pishach by himself. And yeah, it's a soul-devouring demon. She ends up with this love interest. There's a party, a bonfire, a rainstorm. A lot of rain in this movie, by the way. Even Washington State doesn't have this much rain. And I'll say that, and then we'll get rain for like 3 straight weeks, and I will say curses. So he talks to her. He clearly cares about her. He's not the most developed character, but the actor does fine with what little bit he is given. It turns out that he likes her. And there's also a teacher played by Betty Gabriel, the sledgehammer. Why don't you call my name? She's good. She's good. She's been good in other stuff. She's given enough to do here. And she also is worried about Tamara, but she's also worried about Sam, because after Sam has this particular run-in, the jar, all that, and Tamara disappears, she's frightened. She starts seeing the same things that Tamara saw. And some great demonic stuff where, like, actually, it shows up, like, right behind the teacher at one point when Sam's trying to explain stuff to her and she freaks out. And the nice thing is, the monster is scarier the less you see it. Once they reveal it, it's actually fine. I just want to say that. But she finds this book, Sam does, in the house. And this house is basically totally condemned because there was a fire. And there was also a lot of murder that took place. But Tamara's stuck there. She's stuck there in the covered bathtub. What ends up basically happening from there is Sam has this book. All this stuff is almost washed, except for some pages in the middle that have like a peace prayer thing. The mother suggests making an offering of food for peace. And the one scene I think that was really the dumbest was after Russ and Sam were at the house and they got alert, and then the cops ran by. Maybe they were in the neighborhood. They freaked out. They dropped the book and they went back and got it. because Sam's really interested in this stuff. The next morning, or maybe a couple days later, they go back. Russ gets it, and they're outside this condemned house in the backyard, sitting, talking. Where there is a soul-consuming demon somewhere in the vicinity. The house is a murder house, but they're on the swing set that's in the backyard. You couldn't have literally done this anywhere else. So they end up sharing a kiss. Russ tokes up. Sam tokes as well, doesn't exhale, ends up coughing. She freaks out, starts hearing voices, goes inside, and Russ, now this is a great death scene. Russ ends up hearing something, and because the demon, the Pishach, has attached itself to Sam, catches him, spins him, and just violently spins him and catches him up in the swing set and rips his neck and dies and everything. It is a great scene. It's a great goddamn scene. If I wasn't worried about copyright, I would actually find a way to splice that in, but unfortunately, I don't want to deal with that. But trust me, it is a great goddamn scene. And then Sam starts freaking out more and more and more. There's a great scene with her and Joyce, where she's explaining this stuff to her. She's starting to look as washed out and tired as Tamira did right before Tamira got taken. And Tamira is gradually, with these nightmare sequences, having this, having her arm consumed, basically having her life force consumed. Sam's also having dreams. She had this one part in the trailer, if you've seen it, where there's the two eyes, and then she shines her light, and then goes back, and the demon's like, "Hi, I'm here again." And then dives out and all that. So the demon, the Pishach, is coming at her. The mother finally comes up with the idea. We need to make an offering. We need to do this. And she's going to read the prayer. She's going to memorize the prayer. Sam is, along with her mother. They're going to do this stuff. And the mother says, you cannot go at it alone, or otherwise you will not survive. Now, you must find a way to capture the demon, basically. Capture it in a jar. Or what was told in research that Joyce did, before she got beat to shit, was, shamans would use it as a vessel. There's a little bit of research about that. The shamans would use themselves as a vessel to contain the demon and then offer it raw meat and eat that and be fine, I guess? Again, culture, not necessarily familiar. The dad ends up getting, slashed when he gets home, gets the Pishach, gets in the house. The mother gets beat down. But they're somehow okay, the offering that they made, because there's no meat. The demon's like, no, meat, roar. And then Sam says, hey, wait a second, I know where Tamira is. I'm going to go back to that house. You can't. You will be alone. I'm not alone. She manages to say the prayer enough to fight off the demon a little bit. Gets away from it by hitting it with objects, throwing powder on it. Runs in the room where, goes down the steps because it's a basement. She finds Tamira, and Tamira's not doing all that well. Now, she has a jar. The jar gets broken, by the way. And Tamira finally wakes up just enough, even though she's basically totally devoured. 7 days. It's almost 7 days are up. But she ends up saying the chant. The demon, which looks a little slimy, and all that and everything, has the weird teeth and all that. There's a drawing that was in the book and also on the attic wall ceiling of somebody consuming the demon to basically get rid of, the evil. By containing the evil inside you. That sounds painful. And that's basically what ends up happening. Sam ends up containing the evil inside her body. And then a year later, there's a ceremony where they say the prayer, all this stuff. She ends up eating meat. Tamira's like, thank you so much. What if it gets out? It won't get out, I swear. But this demon is bound and determined to get out. We may possibly get It Lives Inside 2, Electric Indian American Boogaloo. Don't necessarily know. Again, there are a few issues. I have the well-worn cliches. The teacher at one point doing a thing where she turns the light on and off about 3 times. And I get why they did that. And Betty Gabriel did a great job. Do not get me wrong. But there were a few points where I'm like, okay, that was just stupid. You could have left the demonic, burned house, the death house as it were. But that being said, It Lives Inside is really, really, really good. And I'm giving it an A-. Despite any of the cliches, any of the issues, A-. Great atmosphere, great music, great acting, all that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.